Hello Blue Prism folks, my name is Bharat Juneja and welcome you to my YouTube channel. So let's start. In this video we are gonna solve this RPA challenge. So let's read the instruction. The goal of this challenge is to create a workflow that will input data from a spreadsheet into the form fields on the screen. You can see there are 7 text fields or form fields which we need to fill from a spreadsheet. You can download spreadsheet from here. I have already downloaded it. When I had downloaded this file, I found there was an extra blank space at the end of last name, so I have removed that. And also you can remove these blank rows and blank columns. For removing the blank columns, you can type Control Shift plus right arrow, and for selecting the blank rows you can select Control Shift plus below arrow, the down arrow. So I have already written this code for reading the Excel file. You can also use remove null rows action here. You can use OLEDB as well for writing this code for reading this Excel file. Now go to second instruction. Beware, the fields will change position on the screen after every submission throughout 10 rounds. Thus, the workflow must correctly identify where each spreadsheet record must be typed every time. You can see as soon as I click on submit, the position of the fields are getting changed. So we have this text field where we need to enter the data, and for entering the data we need to see the label of the text field. If it is roll in company, then we have to enter roll in company. If it is address, see the now in first field we can see the label is address, so we need to enter address here. And after clicking on submit, the position will change again. Now the first field is email, so we need to enter email. So as a human being we can read this label and type the data, but how will bot manage this? See the third instruction. The actual countdown of the challenge will begin once you click on the start button. So once we click on start button, you can see round 1, round 2, round 3. As soon as we click on submit, the next round will appear. So there are total 10 rounds. And in all the rounds you can see our success rate is 0% because we haven't filled any data in any of the field, and in 1142 milliseconds we have completed this, but our success rate is 0% because we haven't filled the data in any of the field. So let's start. Go to application modeler. Let me show you the configuration of application modeler. I am going to attach to this application, or you can launch this as well, but I am attaching to this the browser which is already running, and the title is RPA challenge, so I am using RPA. So this is our attached page. So let's create one new page or new action for entering the inputting the data into that form field. Let's start spying the elements. As I told you, we have to check the label name and then enter the input data in that text field. So we are going to spy two elements. One is label plus text field, means this whole window which contains label and as well text field, and another element we will spy is only text box, this one. Now let me show you the properties, attributes of this element. You can see we got 4 attributes. Let's see the XPath of this. Let me open Notepad and type the XPath of both the elements. You can see the element 1 and element 2 both have same XPath, only element 2 contains some extra path. Let's rename these elements. Now let's select the match index attribute and uncheck this blank property attribute. Web access key. We can uncheck this because web address is gonna same, and we are going to highlight this. So it is able to highlight, but when we click on submit button, then let's see what happened. Now the position of company name is changed. So it is highlighting the incorrect element. It should highlight the company name. So let's check this attribute and highlight again. Now it won't be able to highlight the element because the web that x path of the or x path of this element is pointing to the first element, first form field. But we have selected web text whose value is company name, but our first field's web text is email. That is why it is unable to find the element. If we change the attributes value to email, then it will able to highlight. So means if we uncheck the x path, then we can highlight the element if it is at any position, because x path is referring to the first position. Now we have unchecked the x path and let's see what happened. So it is highlighting. Now let's do one thing, rename this email as first name and click on highlight. So it is able to highlight first name. Now let's do some more testing with these three properties attributes. Let's click on submit button and change the positions of all the elements, all the form fields. Now let's try to highlight first name again and see we are able to highlight. I think these three attributes are enough to highlight any of the label. I didn't find any other attribute which is useful. So I am using these three attributes. Click on apply. Now we are able to highlight these label and means this whole block which contain label and text box. So as we already seen that if we got the address of label and that text box, then we can find the address of text field very easily. So let's make this web text as dynamic so that we can enter the value of these text box at runtime. Let's create a page. In this we will find the HTML path or X path of these blocks which contains label and text box. So once we get the path or X path of these blocks, we can create the path of the text box by ourselves. Just concat the last three tag names which we have copied in our notepad. See these last RPA 1 field and div 1 and input 1. So let's write a code to fetch the path of these labels or these blocks which contains label and text box both. So you can use a read stage and here select get HTML path or get path and store this in a variable data item which is XPath. Click on OK and take one more calculation stage in which we append the last portion, that last tags. Here we need to pass the value of parameter means the name of the label. So I'm giving email here as of now. I will make it dynamic later. Means we will use a data item for passing the value of this parameter. Let's create this data item XPath and run the process now. Now we got the XPath of email because we passed email in the parameters and we have appended this value on in that XPath. Now we got this XPath. Now let me show you when we spy the text box of the email, then the XPath will be same. Let's spy and let's identify and see. Now go to application modeler and see the attributes, and here you can see the XPath. Let me uncheck these unnecessary attributes. See this and compare with this. See, both are same. So this is how we can get the XPath of any text box, and we can pass the XPath here. Means we can get the XPath from the label and we can append that values and make it the XPath of this text field. We will make this text field, sorry, we will make this XPath dynamic and we will pick it from here and pass it. See. So if we change the match index value, then also now if we highlight, then we won't get the element. We are getting the element because email is at second position. But if the position is gets changed, let's say now email is at first position. Now again it is highlighting the second portion, second text field. So we can make this as dynamic and we will pass the value at runtime, and here the first name is dynamic. So from text field and label element we will get the XPath, and with the help of XPath we will get the text field. So let me show you how. Let's create one more element for submit button and spy the submit button. So we are able to highlight the element. Now click on apply and OK. And go back to the Object Studio. And now we will create our logic. So after reading the Excel file, we will use a loop stage and traverse the Excel rows. We will go to each row and fill the data of that row in the input form. So let's invoke the Excel read Excel page here. Now we need the collection fields so that we can pass the value of collection field in the X page path. Let me show you. We are using this action and get the all fields of data collection in the collection fields. Click on OK. Now here in get XPath page, you can see in reader we have hard coded this email. Now we will use the collection fields. Let me get the collection field first, then I will show you. See, we got all the column names. So we will use these column names in the parameters of that element. Now take a loop stage so that we can traverse the Excel sheet data which is in our data collection. So we will traverse each row and fill the registration form, that input form. So select that data collection in which we have Excel's data. Let's rename this loop stage, and before this loop stage we have to attach to that application, or you can also launch the application before running the loop. Let's take one more loop stage so that we can traverse the columns or the fields of the registration input form. Now we will call get XPath page. From this XPath page we will get the XPath of the element, and with the XPath we can identify our text box where we need to input the data. Here we need to input the value of parameters or params. So we will use these collection fields to input that value. Collection fields dot field name. Go to parameters and type here collection fields dot field name. So we are going to traverse all the rows of this collection, and every time it will give us a different name or a different column names or that text field name, and we will get the XPath of that field. For example, first row contains address, then it will return the XPath of address. Now let's take a write stage, and in this we will use that second element which is text field, and in parameters we need to pass the XPath, and we will get the XPath from that page. From this get XPath page, this XPath we are going to use as a parameters in this write stage. So because we are just going to deal with those text fields where we need to input the data, but we have spied two elements, text field and label, and another one is text field. So from first element we are just getting the address of the second element. So here in write stage I am going to write hello in all the text fields. I have just hard coded this value. Let's run the process, and after that we will make that value dynamic. So see, as soon as write stage will get execute, we can see the text in first name text box, because this collection fields contain first name in the first row, and in second row it contains last name. So in second time when we execute that write stage, we can see hello in the last name. And similarly company name, role in company, address, email and phone number. So let me step out this, and you can see now process is stepping over, and we can see all the values in all the text fields. So our logic is running perfect. Just we need to change the value of the hello. We need to take the data from the Excel sheet instead of typing hello. So for this we will take the data from the collection which is data collection, and we need the data of a particular field. First loop will give us our Excel row, and second loop will traverse each field of that row. So if it is first name, then we have to put John, and similarly if it is last name we have to put Smith. So we will use an action which will give the value of a particular field. Let's take a action stage and select collection manipulation, and here you can see read collection field. So we will give the collection name which is data, and field name will be the field which is in which is the current field, means we are executing a loop. So if we are going to take the parameters, or sorry, xpath of a address field, then we have to input the value of xpath sorry, address field. So we are going to use this collection field dot field name here, and the row index will be, for this row index we can traverse a loop, we can use a counter. Means if we are in first row of the collection, then the value of counter should be 1, and so on. So we will use a data item, and after each iteration of excel data loop we will increase the value of that data item. I'm using this index data item, and in this calculation stage we will increase the value of index by 1. At the end of excel data loop we will add this calculation stage, and in this utility collection we will give index as row number. So first we fetch the value from the field, and then we will write the value to the input box or that input form. So instead of hello we will use this value read. Let me do some formatting, let me add one block and adjust these stages. Let's go through the flow of the process. First we will read the data from the excel sheet, and we will get all the fields name, and after that we will attach to the application, and we will traverse all the data of excel, and then we will get the xpath of a particular element, and after getting xpath we will fetch the value of a input field. For example, if we get the xpath of first name, then we will fetch the value of first name, and with the help of write stage we will type the value in that first name text field in the input form. After entering or after inputting the value of all the 7 fields, we will click on submit button, and we will increase the value of counter or index so that it can fetch the value from the next row. So let's run the process now. Let me remove these values or refresh the page. Let's run the process now. Step out.
So high I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through. Times don't fly too high. Be sure to keep the ground in sight. Fly forever if you keep it tight. Love the world but keep the sky on your mind. Fly.
So our bot is running as per the requirements. Let's revise all the steps which we perform in. So we have created two elements, or we spied two elements. With these three attributes we were able to spy the label and text field. You can see web text, web element type, and match index. We made web text as dynamic so that we can get the path of any element. Let me identify. See, we can either select this whole element or this label or this label plus text box or only text box. So we have three options. One this label, another one is this label plus text box, and third one is text box. But we need to deal with only text fields. We need to just enter the data in those text field. But we spied text box and label element so that we can get the XPath of that element, and with the help of that XPath we can create the XPath of text box. Because in label and text box element we have label. With the help of label we can uniquely identify the element, but all the text box have same properties, so we were unable to find the text boxes. Only text box have a different XPath which is changing every time when we are submitting the form. So we took the help of element which is label plus text box. That element will give us the XPath, and with the help of that XPath we will write to the text box element. Now let me rerun the process. Let me click on start and run the process so that it can run till 10 rounds. Waited 2000 milliseconds. So if you have a better system or a better configuration in your laptop or computer, then you can achieve this task in less time. Thank you so much guys for watching this video, and if you want video on any specific topic or if you have any doubt, you can do comments. And also if you are looking for any RPA job, then you can join our WhatsApp group. The link is given in the description box.